I am an actor, a mover, and a writer. As an artist, although a great part of it is about finding beautiful ways to process through experience, it's also my desperate need to be heard. An audience can always hear me act. When I move, an audience is there to watch. But with my writing, the art involved is so deeply personal, I've created a castle around it where no one is allowed inside. My mind is then left riding the never-ending roller coaster of my stories and my poetry. Although my grandmother and I have always been close, it wasn't until I began to share my writing with her that we started to understand each other on a rich, artistic level. For the first time, my inner world, written from blank pages, was allowed release. I'm unsure if my grandmother will ever understand how powerful it was for me to be heard. Today, I will commemorate her and the daily breath she gives me. My first detailed memory with my grandmother was her taking me to see The Incredibles when I was 4 years old. We ate our McDonald's for lunch, which I remember thinking was the fanciest place to dine. I had my cheeseburger, ketchup only, Happy Meal with a mellow yellow to drink. And she probably got her usual, which was a burger she desperately wanted to eat, but knew it probably wasn't the healthiest option. Looking back, I think she used the grandkids as an excuse to eat unhealthily. When we watched the movie, we stuffed ourselves with popcorn and the snuck-in candy she always brought in her purse. The movie was great. The time with her was great. And consequently, that movie thrusted me into being a writer as I tenaciously tried to pen the script for Incredibles 2. Only now do I realize that even at the age of 4, was I sharing that scribbled script with her. I remember this memory not because she spent money on food and a movie, but because it was the time she took out of her day to create a special moment with me, a moment that changed the trajectory of my artistic life. Now that I've discussed the seeds of our special relationship, I'd like to explain how it evolved with age. Although our McDonald's lunches faded away after 12 years old or so, the foundation of love and trust that those lunches created never disappeared. As I got older, she always commended my essays and short stories for school. Never did I ask for, and never did she give me criticism, not because they were perfect, but because she knew, without me ever having to tell her, that my writing was simply a sharing of my soul to be heard. During my freshman year of college, my girlfriend of 3 years broke up with me. I was stuck wallowing in a sadness I had never felt before. My family offered a support system that I am still indebted to. However, even though I was supported, my body felt numb for weeks. It wasn't until I decided to write my first screenplay about what I was feeling that I began feeling myself again. The moment I wrote the first page, the next time I saw my grandmother, I regurgitated every idea I had for that movie. What was her response? She listened and she was positive. I finished the screenplay after 6 months, and she read all 170 pages within a weekend. Sure, I could talk about how it helped knowing she knew what I was feeling, but the lasting feeling of that memory, the one I will remember forever, is her reading it with her heart open wide to hear me and my story. In conclusion, there isn't one. My grandmother remains the only person I share my writing with because for right now, I only want it to be for us. Ironically, I've never found the perfect place to put someone like my grandmother in my stories. So today, the celebration of her is the closest thing I can do to honor the impact she's had on me. I dread the day where time continues moving on so much so where I've gotten old and she's moved on to God's greater stories. But until then, I plan to stay frolicking in the fields of that love and trust. And even long after, will I continue those seeds she planted in me, giving my children and grandchildren the greatest gift of all, which is being heard. Thank you.